Hey, good morning, Fessel. How are you? What's good in your part of the world?
Of it's really bad actually. I'm quite frustrated because my provincial government in one of the provinces and the federal government are just going at each other like 4 hours a day, 5 hours a day, stupid press conferences. It's really frustrating when a government screw up, man. But you know what? Topic to screw that. Well, thank you very much. You're doing this at your 5 a.m.
5 a.m. in the morning. Yes, I've actually been up for an hour and a half, and as soon as I'm done with this, the sun will be up, and I can go to the mountains and do my run like I typically do in the mornings.
Man, I envy you, man. Well done, fantastic. I wish I could have that discipline. We're going to talk about branding today, but of course, as always, we open to people's questions and suggestions. So anybody who wants to jump in, the link is right here in the comments. Please jump in and ask your questions, make your comments. I was having an earlier conversation in Urdu with my other audience, and the conversation deflected towards personal branding. How you need to brand yourself, and I'm going to extend that, how you need to position yourself for success. Because many a times we are so deeply ingrained in who we are, and we're so comfortable with who we are, we don't mind projecting it and letting it be exposed to people, not realizing how people would see that, and how, in terms of, business runs away at times when you just show them the wrong side, when you show business the wrong side. So there's a whole discussion which needs to be done about what's right and what's not right, and how to present yourself and how to brand yourself. Dennis, before we go on, Rafia, thank you very much. Hello, thank you for joining in.
Salam, Rafia.
All right, so Dennis, up to you. Over to you.
Yeah, this is a great topic. And as far as so I have only been self-employed now for about just coming up on 5 years this year. And so, as far as when we talk about branding, I think it's important to make the distinction between branding and marketing, because I think that they're just a little bit they're different. They kind of go hand in hand, but I think that personal branding. I think that's I'm still learning the business part of branding and marketing. But I think as far as personal branding, I think it's about really truly understanding, what is it that represents me? What is it that represents me? What am I putting out to the world? And how am I necessarily being perceived? And so I think that what gets us into trouble or hot water is that when we present ourselves in a way that's not really congruent with who we are as humans. What are your thoughts?
Yes, I agree. And you talk about branding and marketing. I'd like to, just like to add here, brand is the product that you market. Brand is the lie around you. Brand is not necessarily the truth. It is what you present to the world that gives comfort to your clients, to your friends, to your colleagues. And yes, it's exactly what you put out. It's exactly what you show. It doesn't matter who you are. What really matters is you have to give the world what the world needs. A case in point, Apple under Steve Jobs was completely different. Same company, and Apple under Tim Cook is completely different. It's Steve Jobs is still a legend, and Cook will never be a legend no matter what he does. So Jobs became the brand. His bohemian attire, his turtlenecks. And the whole thing, walking barefoot, that was his thing. So, and another example is Microsoft. I'm sorry, but who's Microsoft CEO? I have no idea.
Oh, I don't know.
Bill Gates is, exactly. So Bill Gates is still Microsoft, even though he has nothing to do with Microsoft now. So these are some very strong. My lovers have arrived. Don't get distracted on that.
Hey, but I think, you know what? But that's branding, right? I mean, that's branding. People see you. You've been a public figure for quite some time, and people see you for
long time.
for what you put out there. But that doesn't necessarily have to do with what you do in your private life, right?
Interesting point. Exactly. This is brilliant point actually. Yeah, this is my brand. Who I am individually in my private life, that probably comes out every now and then when you press a button and and I fall for that trick. Or when you and I get into the flow of conversation, we forget we're being watched.
Yeah.
That's who we really are. But yes, in terms of what I put out publicly, is not necessarily the same. The persona you put out is not necessarily who I really am. So yes, brilliant point. Let me just tell this guy. There's a show which I did about 17 years ago with Rahat Kazmi. Dennis won't know. He is a very, very reputed senior actor of Pakistan and an educationist. And he said, you have to understand the difference between pronunciation and an accent. Accent I can never change. I will have an accent of a Pakistani always, who has influence of the early education based on the British system, then spent some time in the US, spent a lot of time in Asia. All that will make my accent. But the pronunciation, I try hard to get it right. I will not say welcome. I get my V's and W's right, and I know where my stresses are, and I get my pronunciations right. If you think that's an accent, love you, man. Go for it.
Well, and you know what's really interesting, and I'm new to. I've only learned another language within the last year of my life, and I learned Spanish, and it's appropriate. I mean, I live right here next to I'm literally 4 hours away from the Mexican border, and what I find, there's a couple things that I find is that even though I feel like I'm the same person, I feel almost like when I'm speaking Spanish, I'm a little bit more gentle. I'm a little bit more gentle. I'm a little bit more nice. And I'm a little bit probably more apt to give you a hug than stick a foot in your backside. So I think I think it's really interesting. And the thing I've noticed when I live on the west coast of the United States, so, the best coast. And I notice that when I'm speaking Spanish, I tend to put in a southern drawl in it. So I speak as though, like, back when you were living in the South here in the U.S. here, Faisal.
Very interesting point you raised. I'm looking on the right because I'm opening something for people. I don't know if I can show this without getting into trouble. Let me see if I can show a freeze frame, maybe. Just 1 second, yeah? Mm-hmm. So here's a TED video, and I'm obsessed with these educational videos, actually. I hope this will not get me into trouble. I'm going to take that risk. Just 1 second, yeah? Mm-hmm. So, video. Hang on, Lau. Hang on. I'm so sorry. There. How language shapes the way you think. Mm-hmm. So you're saying when you speak Spanish, you start behaving a little differently.
Because I think what it is because I'm not extremely comfortable with. I am not fluid at all. So, or fluent.
Right.
So it's, for me, I'm having to make very conscious decisions. And instead of like when I'm speaking in English, that's my native voice. And I am a communicator by nature. It's what I do for a living. So it's very easy for me to get going in English. With Spanish, I have to be very, very deliberate with it. And I actually find that, and I've been told this by people that have seen me speak. So my speaking presentations, when they've seen me speak in Spanish versus when they've seen me speak in English, my Spanish presentations are very, they're much more mellow. I'm not as aggressive and I'm not as in your face. And I think part of that can come because I'm not quite totally comfortable with the language. However, if the mariachis come up to my table, then, I'm down to get up and start singing with them. So I seem to have confidence when I'm singing in Spanish as opposed to speaking in Spanish, which is very different. And that could be because the way that I decided to teach myself the language was by watching YouTube videos. So for me, I would watch a Spanish video, music video, with the words in English. So I was able to hear everything, see it, and hear it, and feel it. So now I've incorporated all three senses, and I actually learned the language pretty quickly, for the most part.
Music is one of the best ways to learn a language.
Agreed.
I have a deep love for German, and I listen to a lot of German music. So when I start speaking German, yes, it's almost quite deliberate, but I can regurgitate German songs for you But do I really get the feeling? Don't look at the comments, man. Not yet. I'm going to put them up on the screen. Hang on. Don't do it.
I'm just looking at the one you have up there right now. That's interesting.
Yeah. Okay, but do you know how karaoke was invented?
I don't.
The Japanese invented karaoke to learn English.
Oh, no kidding. I did not know that.
Yeah,
I
so
really-
Japan was full of karaoke bars. First time I went to Japan was in the 90s, and karaoke was just beginning to happen. So driving around Tokyo, I asked my host, what? He goes, "With karaoke." I don't know why. He said, "We're learning to speak English." So they would just sing and sing and sing and sing. So they learn all these phrases.
Yes.
And once you've learned the phrases, you need a couple of words, and you've got the phrase in your head, and you can just pop it out.
Right. And the funny thing is like what popped into my mind when you said that is un rinconcito en cielo. And all that means is a big corner in the sky. So I don't know. I don't know when that's going to be contextually appropriate to use, but hey, it sounds good coming off the tongue, right?
Exactly. So you're right. So these sentences get embedded in our head. Okay, Dennis, you have made lovers on my timeline.
Awesome.
Which means you're doing
Hobos.
something right.
Ah, very nice. Hey, you know what? Hobos are kind of making a resurgence here in the U.S., so I'm amongst good company. Hobos.
But does he realize that you were actually homeless once?
That's probably why it doesn't affect me that he wants to think that, so...
No, okay, hang on. Now, hang on. What is wrong with being homeless?
Well, I think it depends on the reasons that you're homeless. It depends on the circumstances. Is something wrong with it? No.
Regardless of the circumstance, either you screwed up in business, you went broke, or you became a heroin addict.
Yeah.
No matter what happened, it's not your fault. I'm sorry, becoming a drug addict is not your fault, because addiction is a congenital disease. People don't realize that. Addiction is a congenital disease. Taking drugs is your choice.
Correct.
Getting addicted is not your choice. You know that? You don't know that?
That's correct. Yeah, and that's that's kind of my background in psychology. I actually was I worked in addiction, so that was my
there you
background.
Go.
Is I was an addiction counselor, and so yeah, it's it totally is. There is a genetic predisposition for it, and when we take a substance, we activate that. We activate that process in our body, and that activation is a choice. So yeah, absolutely.
So coming back to branding, let's take this comment first, and I'd like to make a personal branding can be a crucial part of a company's personal brand is a unique combination of skills and experience that make you who you are. It is how you present yourself to the world allows a person to self-manage this life. Absolutely, sir. Agreed with you completely.
Yeah, I agree, Syed. Thank you. That's great.
The way we're having this conversation, initially we did the first 2 shows where we recorded them, and then we tried to patch them, and we did, and it just didn't feel right.
No.
And it was actually the branding that didn't feel right. And now we're doing this live, and it's becoming a habit, and we're doing it regularly. Thank God. Let's hope we stick to it. Everything you do, what I'm trying to emphasize here is, everything that you do in your private life and your public life eventually works towards your brand. Everything. Now, that's one thing. Second thing is, in today's day and time, nothing is permanent and everything is permanent. This video, it's going to bloody stay there.
Yeah.
It'll stay there forever. Someone's going to pull it, unless I go delete it, or even then somebody could download and make a copy of it. It's almost permanent. So one would say your screw-ups are permanent. But my learning and my experience says nothing is permanent. You can undo anything. You did something today, you can do something completely different tomorrow. Because there's so much content out there, people's memory is very short. People forget what you did yesterday. And you know what? They give you a new chance. So you can rebrand yourself whenever you like. Dennis.
Well, let's talk about that. I'd like to explore that a little bit further between like personal relationships versus public. I think that publicly, I think it's a little bit easier. It's like, hey, I'm shifting content and so forth. What I find in personal relationships, though, when I wish to like change and switch a brand is that a lot of times people that we know in our personal circle, they don't want us to move forward, or they don't want, if I change, then that means something in their world's going to have to change. And
Yeah.
so a lot of times what happens is, those in our close circle, they don't let us rebrand. And I mean that by, and when I say rebrand, I'm talking about even behaviors, like behaviors that, real easy example. I've not always been the best husband, so to my wife. However, with that being said, if I have a certain, if I just use the F word a lot, for instance, and I do, by the way, it's
What the fuck, man? Why would you do that? What the fuck? Why
hey,
would you do
listen,
that?
it just rolls off my tongue. I kind of like it. To me, it's a really good exclamation point.
Dude, in 2020, it's nothing more than expression. It's not a cuss word anymore. I don't think so. I think it's just an expression.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, so for me, it comes down to, if my wife says, hey, you know what? Like, you don't even finish your sentence. I know exactly what you're going to say. That's not allowing me to change. So I think it's important for us as individuals. It's holding me back, and it's because it's based on who I was, not as opposed to who I'm trying to become or how I'm trying to rebrand myself. So a lot of times, even in personal development, we have to be aware of how our development is going to impact others, because others might not want to come along for the ride. And if they don't want to come along for the ride, they're going to hold you back.
Right. It's not that they hold you back. It's because people get comfortable to a certain brand, and they take a brand for what it is. And when the brand tries to reposition, it threatens what we get out of it. So, for example, Steve Jobs wanted a phone in everyone's hand, and today iPhones are hitting $1,500. It's a complete rebrand. It's a rebrand, and a lot of people are going, but they're just repositioning themselves. To their advantage or disadvantage, history will prove, but they're repositioning. So likewise in personal relationships, when you try to reposition yourself, it bothers people, because now they think they have to re-understand you and try to get something new from you, and that's a burden and a task for them. Now here's a beautiful thing that's happening. All right, stay with me. So this is that gentleman. All right. He started with this, then he went there, then he went here, then he went here, so whoever this person is basically rebranding himself on the fly.
Right. Absolutely.
Because he's realizing he's making a fool of himself with that brand. And so he's fantastic, well done. He's repositioning himself in real time, and that's a great learning. So Salman, you have served a purpose to us. I don't know what purpose you serve for yourself, but you have served a purpose to this discussion, that you have to constantly realign yourself. Okay. When I used to give a lot of trainings, I used to tell that people, when you get in a sailboat and you get onto the sea, you keep you're driving. Okay, sailboat out. You're driving. You constantly have your hand on the wheel, and you're constantly just slightly tweaking, not the big turns. You're slightly readjusting. You're still going from one place to the other, from A to B, which you wanted to go. That's fine. That doesn't change. But throughout the road, you're slightly adjusting your positioning. And that is the constant tweak of your brand. You want to become something. You set out on the task. As you go, you keep testing the water and see what's working and what's not working. What's working, you enhance. What's not working, you tweak. And you keep refining and making your position and your brand clearer, thus reaching the target. So your brand is not just a product, it's also your positioning in real time, ongoing. Dennis.
Absolutely, and this just brings up to me kind of the concept of content versus context, right? And so even though the content is the same, we have to take and modify it depending upon the context. So for instance, and my example for this is that if if I like to dress up like a clown, a jester, if that's how I like to dress up, that's funny if I'm going to a birthday party, and that's contextually appropriate. However, I can take the same content, me being in a jester suit, and go to a funeral, and now it's completely inappropriate. So yeah,
Absolutely.
we're constantly having to position ourselves, adjust, modify, readjust, and so forth. So yeah, adapting to the environment, absolutely. And I just want to really point out that I've heard this. The argument is, oh, so you're wishy-washy. You're like seaweed. You just go whichever way the waves flow. No, that's not what I'm suggesting. I'm not suggesting that. I'm suggesting that we are who we are. We just present ourselves differently depending upon the context. When I go to a Christmas service on Christmas Eve, I'm not standing there just, yelling out the F word, which I think is a totally fine thing to say. So content and context are extremely important, and if we change context, the content has to be modified just to fit the context appropriately. And I don't think that's pandering or any of these other negative things that get associated with that.
When you do seaweed, I mean, yes, I agree. You don't want to be seaweed because seaweed is locked into its place, and it's just that's not good. But you do know about this, right? Tao Te Ching, Lao Tzu. That's one of the most fundamentals of Tao Te Ching. Be like water.
Be like water.
And water just adapts itself to any environment, and it keeps flowing. It doesn't. You can't. You have to really hold water back, and exerts immense amount of pressure to break free, and keeps flowing and keeps adapting and just keeps finding a path from the river, from the mountain to the sea to the ocean. It needs to get from the mountain to the ocean and just keep finding way. And you have to build dams and shit to hold it, but you can't hold it forever. It'll get evaporated. It'll come back down. It will do its cycle. So be like water is Tao Te Ching's, fundamentals, and you have to be like water.
And here's the interesting thing, because I like that. I love that quote, and it's really that, especially because I live here. I'm 4 hours away from the Grand Canyon, and so when I don't visit that often, like most people. Most people that live around monuments probably don't go there that often as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
But when I do go up there, I'm often like reminded of that quote, and it's that. And I also live in an area where we get flash flooding, so it'll start raining, and you look over, and there's a 6-foot wall of water coming at you. I mean, I've experienced that, and so it's the gentleness of water. We use water to clean our skin. We use water to hydrate our bodies. And yet it cuts the Grand Canyon. So it's just a really juxtaposed process. That's I find it amazing. I love that quote, and I really appreciate you bringing that up.
And that is I keep reinventing myself. I keep reinventing, rebuilding, recreating my whole persona. And that's just my strategy, and that is probably my brand. That my brand keeps changing. The moment people get comfortable with who I am, I don't know what the switch that goes off in me. The moment you think you know me, I will do something completely, radically different. And that is the branding, because I don't know why I do that, but I do that. It's interesting. But yeah, so when Dennis started the show with me, the first 2 episodes, you notice he's wearing this blue jacket, and I said, take it off, man. You've got these beautiful tattoos, and we did this whole show about his tattoos, where he said people used to feel uncomfortable that he's covered in tattoos, and in his early, you were saying in your early business meetings, and even now probably in your business and career, you wear long sleeves.
Well, I kind of do that now. I kind of do that now only because it's just what I prefer to wear, and I like long sleeves. I worked in I like having an opportunity to get dressed up. I don't know how else to put that. I just do. I like having an opportunity to get dressed up. People look at me, they're like, "Oh, you get dressed up to like sit in your office at your house?" Yeah, Of course I do. I like to wear it. So it just depends. I'm predominantly in a t-shirt. The truth, collars really mess with my beard, and my beard is a big part of my brand. So, and I
Oh
actually got
yeah.
a few things. So like it's just interesting. Like when somebody meets with me, they walk away with all kinds of stuff. So they walk away with one of these. They walk away with the hologram sticker. They walk away with a magnet that says "kick ass always and always," and because I like coffee, I'm a big coffee fiend. They get coffee coasters. So "kick ass always and always." That's my tagline. Everything. And if they need to take notes, they do it on my notepad. There it is. That is branded and has my face on it as well. So there's no way when somebody leaves a meeting with me, they always will know, like, oh, there's that crazy guy with the beard. So it's being able to have people identify with me, and I'm so glad that you brought something up, and about the tattoos, and yeah, it was really interesting about making people uncomfortable. I actually one of my aunts, and my nuclear family was very small. I had an aunt tell me she was sitting right here in my own home. This was about 10 years ago, and she
Right.
looked over at me and she said, "Wow." Oh, and I know what it was because I had just gotten a Buddha tattooed on my leg, and she says, "Wow, I, with all of these other religious figures on your body, like I really hope I don't sit next to somebody like you in heaven."
You serious?
I'm dead serious, dead serious. Yeah, that's what I got told. Is man, I really, I hope that there's not people that look like you in heaven. That's so disrespectful. And I'm just
Okay.
like, wow, okay, this is in my own home, and I'm a grown man. You can get out.
Okay. Since we're talking about brands, and you showed your coasters and stuff,
Yeah.
do you know who's the first person on the internet, or at least the most popular person on the internet, who did this cartoon sketch as his brand? A lot of people would not, maybe old people. I'm trying to open them on the side. There you go. Is this guy?
Oh wow.
Him and his wife, they used to run one of the earliest, I don't think that website even exists anymore. He used to do these technology reviews.
I know this guy.
Yeah, this is back from at least 15, 17 years ago. And you know what's amazing? We're doing live today, but this gentleman
Yeah.
was used to be live 24/7 till June 2013.
Wow.
Here. He used to do a Ustream live, and now he's on YouTube live 24 frickin' 7.
Wow.
His desk is always. I've been wanting to mimic this, but I haven't been able to do it because he obviously has a corner
Yeah.
which he's isolated. My problem is I'm too scared of leaving the mic on, the kind of shit that goes on in this house. And I don't want people, and I don't want people to hear me getting beaten up by my wife. You know what I mean, man? You understand?
Hey, I totally do, and it's people. I talked to somebody, and they were like, "Oh, I actually have a friend that auditioned to be on a reality TV show here in the States," and I'm just like, "No way." I I I know who I am as a person. I don't need all of my bad behavior recorded.
Absolutely, but it'd be an ambitious project. I mean, maybe one of these days I can set something up. But that's a lot of bandwidth getting sucked out, but this guy does it for he's a star at it. Irfan,
amazing.
sorry, Imran Sumro, how are you, sir?
Imran, nice to see you, friend.
Put your mic on, mate.
G'day, how you going?
I'm well.
I heard all your conversation in the last one. It was a pretty hot discussion, and I really enjoyed it. I wish I was there because I'd like to be in the flow. It's really hard to manage the time. I guess there's a lot of time difference. I'm in Australian
Where
capital
are you?
in Canberra. I live
Where
in
are you?
Canberra right now. I've got like 10:34 at night.
Okay.
You live where?
Australia.
I'm in Australia,
Aus-
in
Oh, sorry.
Canberra.
Yeah, from today we're trying to do this 5 p.m. so you will be able to catch us.
Yeah, I will try my best.
That's so
There's a lot
interesting,
of
Imran. How
things.
far are you from New South Wales? Is that a
Oh, it's we've got a sister city called um, Queanbeyan that falls
okay?
in New South Wales,
Okay,
and I'll give you a very it's an interesting fact about Canberra. Faisal would agree with it. Islamabad was actually designed by the same architect who designed Canberra,
okay,
Sir Walter
Right.
Burley Griffin, and both of the cities have got similarities with each other. So both of them, I mean, in Islamabad we've got Margala Hills, Canberra has got Brindabilla Hills. We are about an hour and a half away from the snow, and
okay,
the sister city is just similar to Islamabad. We've got Rawalpindi that falls in, I believe, in Punjab, and
Yeah.
here in Canberra is itself a capital territory. So it's just like 40 minutes drive, not too far. You can see the whole city in one day.
okay,
Very quiet. The day starts with the sunrise and it finishes with the sunset. So usually people call it bush capital. It's a dead city. It's a graveyard. It's a dead town. Nothing to do, because all the youth who love the party, they would prefer to go to Melbourne, and all
okay.
the business people who are interested in making money.
So so
Sydney is
uh,
the
so uh,
a
so
place
I'm
for them.
taking myself off the screen.
Yeah, so that's pretty much.
Oh, that's interesting. Thank you so much. So Imran, what are your thoughts on branding?
Branding.
Yeah.
I think everybody's a brand. We just need to know how to put it in words or structures or how to show it off.
You're
Yes.
right, sir. Agreed with you. You're absolutely right.
Everybody is itself a book. We have got a lot of chapters. Some of the chapters are past, some we are currently going through, and some we will see in the future, or God knows. Um, Not everyone knows every chapter.
Sure.
So, and same
actually,
goes with the
actually,
brand.
actually,
Same goes with the brand.
okay, I fully agree that everyone is a brand, and every moment of our lives, when we are doing anything in public, we are presenting our brand. What people don't realize is that whenever you're in public, stop monkeying around. Because unless if you want to monkey around and that's your brand, if that's a product, that's fine.
Right.
If it's not, then don't make a fool of yourself, because you're constantly on a networking opportunity. Just by doing this live, I met so many beautiful people in the past 4 days. It's amazing. I made friends, and I looked through my phone book, and I have no idea who these people are. But I would have a note on my live stream on 23rd January 2012. And I have no idea who these people are, but I've got their phone number, I've got the email address, and we connected. So all these things that we do, these are all massive networking opportunities, branding opportunities, personal business opportunities. I met this young person yesterday on my live stream. Turned out he does training and coaching, and he said that a few times. And I let him. Fantastic, man. Get your brand in.
Yeah.
So and I had this young lady this afternoon who had written vlogger and social activist, getting her brand in. I met this young man about 4 hours ago on my live stream, and he does economics or some training and business thing internationally, and he was introducing that branding. So every opportunity we get, you got to stand up and show yourself if you want to make an opportunity for yourself, and if you want to be a brand. Never miss an opportunity to come out and speak. So when I keep telling people come join us, what they don't realize is, doesn't matter who you are, what you do, come for 5 minutes, let yourself be shown, be noticed, tell us what you do, man. God knows you might find business here.
Oh yeah.
People say that we've got nothing to do, we are wasting time. Come on, tell me what you do. Maybe there's somebody who needs your service. I mean, Dennis is an NLP master practitioner. He's an exec. Initially, now I tell him to put his brand there. I've got his website written on top right. You know, he's wearing his T-shirt. All this is branding.
Yeah. And I just want to I want to just make a comment from the other side of this, which is that you know, there's two sides to me, and I want that to be very like clear. There's two sides to me, and so like when I get done with today and I go for my run and everything else, once I'm done with that, like because it's Saturday, Sunday here, so I will not be wearing this out if I go out today, which I need to go get groceries and stuff like that. I will not be wearing my shirt, and the reason I won't be today is because sometimes I'm not always able to be on, so to speak. So I do try to like create a little bit of a separation, in that if I'm going to go out, I'm not going to wear my shirt because I don't want people on those days. I don't want people asking me what I do.
Sure, that's
Something to kind
fine.
of think about.
Oh yeah, that's fine. But you're not constantly on the street peddling yourself. But my point is, whenever you do get an opportunity to present yourself, you should.
I think
And-
that's basically everyone's feeling towards it. Everyone wants to be noticed, but unfortunately, not everyone is confident enough, because we are always scared. The person who's sitting in front of me, he might be something, and they have like this kind of shame that, you know, I might become like, you know, bullied or something like that. You know what I mean? So I think everyone wants to be noticed, and I think right now this internet thing and Facebook and all this social media and everything, and especially after this COVID-19, everything has just kind of shrunk at one place. We are all inside our rooms, in our houses, with our families. Again, I will talk about the same thing that Faisal was talking about, that opportunity. Every moment has got its opportunity in it. It's just a matter of recognizing it. When we recognize it and we take action or act upon it in a positive way, that's when we start getting into the winning situation. But again, when there are times when, you know, it becomes really hard for us to digest it and go through all that problem. um, there are a lot of things we are attached to, especially in Pakistan now. People are connected with their families. Here, when I came here to Australia, like about 13 years ago, I felt isolated. Believe me, I still, it's my made up thing. I call Sydney as a shithole. It's not a place to live in. I mean, life is on the go. You are surrounded by million people, but you don't talk to each other.
Yeah.
You don't talk to each other. Everybody's either reading a book or doing their own thing, or on the mobile phone listening to the music. Canberra used to be like kind of a very small place. When I moved here, things were different. Now it has turned out a lot more techno city, population increase, and that has brought a lot of other factors in. Um,
So Imran, you mentioned that people don't present themselves because they fear being attacked and judged. So Dennis and I did this video on 20th April. You know, understand and deal with cyber trolls. It's on the right. You can go to the channel, watch it. So this was some time ago. That's one thing. But I'm going to mention here: do not worry about trolls. Don't give a shit about them, man. People who troll you are losers who have nothing better to do. Because you know what? I consume so much content on a given day, it's insane. I mean, 15 to 16 hours a day, I'm constantly consuming content in some form, right? The idea is, I'm just expanding myself. If I don't like something, I'm not going to go there and say, oh, you asshole. I'm not going to do that. Everyone's putting out a lot of content. You don't like something, go to the next one. If somebody stops at your content and actually makes the effort to abuse you, you know what? A, they're fucked up. B, they're probably just screaming for attention. That's all. They've got a sad, sorry life. They're probably living in their mama's basement. So it's all right. Give them that moment of glory. Give them that moment of fortune. It has nothing to do with you. It has zero reflection on who you are. You should know who you are and get your word in. And I'm sorry. Ehsan Khan has made the effort to introduce himself as a graphic designer. I'm going to put him out there. If anybody wants to talk to him, please do give him work. Ehsan, if you have a website, if you have a Fiverr profile, give me the URL. I'm going to post it here, man. And if you have some work to show, please share it here. Put on your camera, join us, talk to us, tell us what you do, and I hope you bloody get business from this, man. Dennis.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, hang on, man. We got to take this one. We're going to take this bloody topic on.
Yeah. Rafia, I do too. I do too. I don't know what to say. I don't know that I have any magic words for that. It's people tell me, oh, well, you could shave your beard, you could cover your tattoos and that sort of thing. But it's kind of like at the same time, the way I look is a reflection of who I am, and physical attributes aside, I think that the most beautiful people in the world are those that love themselves in spite of what everybody else thinks. And I don't know how else to really kind of articulate that. People that make fun of others or call people names because of the way that they look. I don't want to say the words. FQ says them, but mine usually goes
say
along
it, man.
With a finger.
Say it.
So
say it.
It's just that's just the crazy thing to me is, I don't know that I really have anything intelligent to say about that. People that call names, because it's just such an unintelligent, basic thing to do. I mean, I guess if somebody needs to feel better about themselves by taking pot shots at me, I'm a resilient mother effer. So go right ahead. I think, Rafia, it's just about getting resilient and comfortable with yourself and to where nobody else think what you want.
Okay, Rafi, I'm gonna add here. You know what? First of all, anybody who comments about any way anybody looks, first of all, to that, yeah. Secondly, now let me tell you, these motherfuckers could be very beautiful and good looking and sexy. They don't have the balls to turn their bloody camera on and show their face. You know what? You have been on this show.
Yep.
So you know what? You're 25,000 times more beautiful, more powerful, more capable than every idiot who tells you about the way you look. If they're so bloody beautiful and smart, tell them to show their face and come here. Let's have a freaking conversation.
I think that really what it shows is that anytime people make comments about that, what they're doing is they're showing who they are as a person. So, oh, Dennis, I don't like your beard. I don't like, your tattoos look this way. It's like, no, that's what you think tattoos look like. So it's really just, I don't know, Rafia. That's a really tough one. That sucks that people do that. I think.
No, no. Why do you say it's a tough one? It's an easy one. Dennis, it's a really easy one. Why do you say it's a tough one?
Well, because I just don't think that it's always. I don't think it's always as easy for everybody to come up and just go, F you. I have no problem like knocking teeth out, and that's just who I am as a person. So But not everybody. I don't think everybody should handle it the way that I do. I think it's about finding ways to handle it that are, that are comfortable for the individual.
I also have no problem knocking the teeth off of anybody who attacks anybody else. I am very. I've made some serious enemies on my TV shows and all. Whenever a politician attacks another person, I go ballistic. Well, I turn their mics off and I go ballistic. So Rafia, you know what? Come on this show whenever you want, sweetheart. You're more than welcome. We love to hear what you have to say, even if you have to say bloody nothing. Imran, you were saying something.
Yeah, I've got something to say. Um, there's
I'm
this
sorry.
there is a saying in Pakistan. I learned it all my life. Um, I mean, there were two things I would say that my parents always taught me when I used to get bullied and I used to get like really aggressive and try to get into the fight. And then my dad will pull me out and he'll ask me, what are you doing? I was like, oh, he called me so and so. And he goes like, he said it, but are you or not? I was like, no, I'm not. And then he goes like, then you're fighting. Who fight? I was like, dogs fight. Are you a dog or a human being? It's like, yeah, I'm a human. So cut that crap out. And and as on a funny joke, I would say something else about Rafi has been commenting about this. Uh, it's a funny saying in our schools, primary schools. We used to hear a lot of kids saying like, if you say something silly to somebody, and goes like, oh, अम्मी कहती हैं जो कहता है वो खुद ही वो खुद ही होता है. So I don't know
So,
how
so,
to
so, so,
translate it
so
perfectly.
he's saying this. So mom says, whatever you're calling me, it's you yourself, actually.
Yeah, it's kind of like what we say, I know you are, but what am I?
Exactly. But you know what? That is true because what people see you in their own image. So, if somebody's calling you a jerk, it's actually they're the jerks.
Yeah,
That
And
and
I
is
that's
would
what,
come
true,
back
actually.
again to the word branding, like you were talking about branding. So again, I would draw this into some sort of um, I would say school of thought, like human beings, as in human beings, we are what we are, but we
Yeah.
have, just like a story, we have two faces. One is our inner side, and one is our outer side. And there are times when our outer side and our inner side, they both are on one platform.
Sure.
But most of
Fair
the
enough.
time, what happens, because we are surrounded by a lot of people and we are social animals, we interact, we have relationships, we have a society, we have duty of care, we have ethics and all those sort of frameworks or family values and whatever you talk about it. So those sort of things actually draw us into a direction where we try to show our outer body as it is accepted like in the society.
right.
That's
Okay.
what most of the time we follow the media. We go like,
Sure.
oh, in the Western world they have got stars. In
Right.
our countries we have stars, but depending on who is following who.
Okay. I
And
want to go
again,
back
if
to. I
my
want to go back
purpose is
to.
for the
I want to
so,
go
yeah.
back to. I want to go back to Rafia's comment. Dennis, would you like to say something to that?
Yeah, Rafi, so for a long time, listen, what you put on the screen, I was not ever called anorexic. That's never been something that's applied to me. However, I was called fat ass quite often, and and the truth was, I weighed almost 300 pounds. So I mean, there was some truth to that. As far as the other word, I've been called that too. I'm not going to say that because that word with the R is way worse in the United States than the F word ever could think of being.
Yeah.
Listen, I get called that all the time. I get called that all the time. So I think that you're aggressive. You can fight and swear. Rafi, I'm just gonna say, for so long, like we talk about what we want to do and so forth. I think what's important to really consider is who do I want to be? Who do I want to be? And not how do I want to be perceived, but who do I want to be? So it's kind of like worrying more about your character. I'm more concerned about my character than my reputation because my reputation is what everybody else thinks of me. My character is who I am, and the people in my circle, what they know. So, I mean, I think that there's a difference when, you're trying to have a public lifestyle versus, a private one. So I think it depends on the context, and I think you are capable of being who you want to be. And that has nothing to do with money, that has nothing to do with education, that has nothing to do with anything. That has to do with taking
100%.
personality traits and implementing them into your life. So I think that you're an amazing person, Rafia. Thank you for being vulnerable like that.
Okay, Rafia, you don't need to be aggressive. You don't need to even respond to them. When I said do this in your heart. You don't want to take on idiots. You don't want to engage them because these people attack you for engagement. The devil thrives on engagement. You don't want to give them the engagement because engagement encourages them. You take an idiot on the street and if he's being bad and you engage them, they become worse. They never back off. So the idea is to just walk away from them knowing they're the idiot. Don't feel bad about yourself. Don't feel weak inside. All right? Now, I repeat, you're the one who's making an effort. You're the one who's trying to do things. They're just sitting there attacking you. Guess who's the more important one? Are you talking about them? No, they're talking about you. So you're obviously the more important person here, right? I want to show this string of comments on the screen again. Salman, thank you very much. Really appreciate it for you to make this effort, to make this comment. And this is the reason I do these live streams. I've been doing them for about 5 years. Every Ramadan I do them, then I get lazy, and I hope Dennis will keep me in line this time, and we will continue to do this. It's for this because you know what? Even if we get 2,000 views or 5,000 views, even if I can get 1 million views for my shit videos, I don't care. These 5,000 views are of more value because it's affecting people's lives.
Absolutely.
I mean, look at this comment, man. It's beautiful. Look at this. Look at this camaraderie. Look at this. You know what? Thank you. Look at this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think again, I would say like it's an opportunity when somebody call you a name or say something about your action or how you look or something. Again, I would refer to what I was taught in my childhood. My grandma, God bless her, she's 104
Oh
and
wow,
still going. Yeah,
that's
yeah,
beautiful.
and yeah. So she always taught me one thing. She goes like, you know what? You play with a lot of machines and all those sort of things. God has put your brain in between your ears. He could have put your ear at the front or something, or up or down. He has put two ears on the side. There is a reason for it. You hear one thing from your ear, process it in your brain. If it is worth keeping, keep it. And then think
Okay.
about it later on when the time is right. Otherwise, let it out from the other ear.
Kashif,
And I find
you need to put your
very
camera on,
good.
Kashif. Kashif, put your camera on. Please wear a headphone. You are creating an echo, so I need to remove
I
you.
agree,
Sorry.
Imran. That's a great observation, and I appreciate you saying that. And I just wanted to say, kind of go back to Rafia really quickly. Rafia, in your last comment, you said that you're certain. I'm this way. I'm this way. I don't want to be. Mike, what I'm asking you to do, from just a little different perspective, is what do you want? What do you want? That usually takes, and that will take and guide you in a way that look, we don't do what we don't want to do. We do the things we want to do. So just state it in a more positive perspective. I want to be this. Hope that makes sense. And you and I can we
Absolutely.
can take and communicate after the show as well, privately.
Okay, I want to take this comment. Oh yes, Imran, Dennis Tyrrell, professional NLP master coach practitioner. I don't know what you call them. So get in touch with him if you want to. Here's a comment, which is an interesting one. When you're working in the organization, people fear about how a manager would build perception based on my color and religion. I believe it's not about how you look or how you are dressed. It's about presenting yourself, and there you require your branding tools. Umair perfectly said. If there's enough demand from you people, we can do a full show about our own experiences in life, how we tell you about stories of how we've had all this branding experiences. I'll slip in one quick one since you talked about religion. I'm a Muslim, the praying kind of Muslim who says his prayers on times, and I remember I used to had a lot of meetings in New York where on the board where the meetings were, there were a lot of Jews, Christians, Hindus, all kinds of people. It was a very diversified people, like 30 people. And once And I remember, I must mention Mr. Dhanu Chandaria. He's the owner of FINA Bank in Kenya. He was on our board, and he was sitting there, Hindu, And come Zohar time, I started getting uncomfortable. I was a bit antsy because I wanted to go and pray. And this meeting was just going on, and I was just, like shifting my chair. So Dhanu Bhai said, Faisal, what's wrong? And I said, I need to say my namaz. And he goes, oh, okay. Everyone, meeting is stopped. Clear the room. I said, no, it's okay. Everyone stay there. Just give me 2 minutes. So I went into my corner, took off my jacket, threw it on the floor, and it took me, 3.5 minutes? And I came back, and since then, whenever we had those meetings, there was a time allocated for Mr. Qureshi's prayers. Mm-hmm. It is not about religion. Nobody hates your religion. Please don't misunderstand.
No.
Nobody hates any religion. No. Nobody hates any faith. It's what people do in the name of religion and faith. It's how people judge each other in the name of religion and faith. That creates animosity. Your faith, your practices don't bother anybody. None of this was a problem till the 90s. What happened now suddenly? No. Because suddenly we are slapping each other in the name of religion. Again. That is where we screwed up. Yeah. Dennis, want to add something?
I think we are again self-centered in the bubble that we are in. And I myself, Alhamdulillah, I'm a Muslim. I went to a school which was a strict Catholic school. Mm-hmm. Then I did a lot of study of comparative religions. And right now I'm living and working with a lot of other organizations where I'm surrounded with a lot of people from different sort of religious belief. After studying about the comparative study of religions, I came up to a definition. Religion is nothing but a set of principles which teach human beings how to behave ethically in the society. You go to the basics of every religion. None of the religion will tell you go and bully people, go and hurt people by your words or by your actions, or go and speak or do something wrong. It's because we are different people. That's why I call everyone is a brand, because brand is supposed to be different from the other one. And we all have got a different brain. A writer writes a comment, and it depends on my reading, and everyone reads on the basis of what knowledge they have or what their experience is. Yeah, you were saying something.
Yeah, I just want
Kashif?
to say,
Yes.
Sorry, go on, Dennis.
Oh, I just was going to say, it's interesting when we talk about religion. I think, truthfully, I think our tendency is to only be around people like us. And when we're only around people that are like us, and there's no difference of opinion, there's no dissenting opinion, there's no growth, because it's always the same. There's no growth in that. And I can tell you, I had become very unreligious for a long time based on my upbringing, and I was raised Christian, and I'm just going to say, since interacting with people from India, polytheism, it's an amazing thing. Since interacting with people in the East that are Buddhist, since interacting with people like yourselves that are of the Muslim faith, I have grown. So I don't know. For me, I don't know why I would want to deny myself an opportunity to grow as a human or as an individual. And the only way that I know how to do that is to be around people that don't think like I do.
We need to be sponges.
It's what we talked about the other day, Dennis. You need to come out of your comfort zone if you want to do anything.
Absolutely. I mean, I think, to me, I don't like the term comfort zone. Listen, I've worked very hard. My office, I love it. My house, I've worked very hard to develop my comfort zone. But so I look at this as though if I'm looking to do any type of development or growth, yes, I get the concept. For me, it's just simply about I don't want to take. I need to be challenged, and I can be challenged in my comfort zone. I'm right here in my comfort zone, and I'm with 3 other people right now that we all think differently, and that's really cool.
Before I go to Kashif, Dennis, one quick question.
Yeah.
Have you ever interacted with so many Pakistanis in one go?
No, I haven't. No, but I don't know. I think we're all people. I mean, here's what I've noticed is that Kashif has facial hair, Imran has facial hair, and I have facial
Oh,
hair,
I love my beard. I
and
grew it
and
in 2015.
and I guess the weight of being a man is just too heavy for Faisal.
I,
Well played, well played. All right, Kashif, tell us about
Yeah,
yourself, man. What are you going to say?
yeah. I was gonna say, look, it was an interesting conversation, but yeah, I would like to make a point that whatever someone's worth, they take their worth from the audience or from the people they're presenting themselves to. So religion or skin or color or race, creed doesn't really make any difference. If you've got the skills, if you're capable, you will rise above every other barrier which might come your way, and you'll definitely prove yourself to the audience or to the market you're presenting yourself in, or maybe if you've got a business, you basically in a if you're in a market, you'll definitely rise up above everything else. So your capability matters, your skills matter. If you've got a unique skill, if you've got a unique attribute, you will rise above every other barrier. And then sometimes those barriers basically become they basically become your strength rather than your weakness. So your weakness is basically there comes a point where that weakness becomes a strength. So, as you said, that being a Muslim sometimes might not be presumed the most favorable religion in this day and age, but then you were given those 3, 4, 5 minutes to pray just in that conference hall. So there you go. You had those capabilities. You had that in you, and you were there. So no one could stop you from being there, and then no one could stop you from praying what you and believe in what you wanted to believe in. So I think mental strength is the first thing. If you're mentally strong, no one can make you deviate from the path you want to walk on. And uh, and when it comes to bullying, I think the kids or the people who get bullied in life are the ones who actually rise above every other individual they are competing with. So I'll give you an example. My brother, he, he probably I think autism wasn't really diagnosed back in those days. This I'm talking about the 90s.
Yeah,
Autistic behavior was not
Sure.
really diagnosed in those days. So, but I feel that now, since my older daughter is autistic, I feel that my older brother, he was autistic as well, because I see those same exact physical characteristics in my brother as well, which I saw in my daughter. And my daughter's actually been diagnosed because we're in Australia, and Australia is obviously very ahead of the rest of the world when it comes to health and education. And
I would
uh,
disagree.
you
Partially.
no, no, partially, but I
That's
think
a huge topic of
states,
discussion. We
the
talk.
United States is probably very far ahead when it comes to technology and infrastructure and all that. But then when it comes to health and education, I think Australia. Um, Hello, can you guys hear me?
Go on, go on.
Hello.
I just made you full screen. Go on.
Okay, yeah, sorry. So Australia is quite ahead when it comes to health, at least. Okay, education is another thing, but maybe health. And then yeah, but my brother had the same attributes. And when my brother, he was not a very good cricket player, but he loved cricket. He used to watch 5-day cricket matches all in one go. I'm not sure if Dennis follows cricket, but because he's from America, and Americans don't really know what cricket is. But yeah,
Dennis is
he
international.
Okay, all right. So that's
I
good
know
then.
what it. I'll
Yeah.
say I know what it is. I don't understand it, and I don't have the patience for any game that goes for days. So
Okay, but
I'm in the
but but
same.
you
I'm in the
but
same boat.
it's something like baseball. It's something
yeah,
like baseball. All right. So and yeah. So he loved cricket. He watched cricket 5 days. He couldn't play cricket. And whenever he went to whenever we used to go and play cricket I used to be a really good bowler, and he never could bowl or never could bat, and he was called names all the times. He used to do the commentary when he used to be there. like when people you would play, he would do the commentary, and he would enjoy themselves that way. But then, long story short, he went to school, he went to uni, and every time I was with him, people used to call him names, and I would understand that he's being bullied, and I was the one who was on the front line trying to protect him and trying to be the older brother instead of being the younger brother. But then and then because he was only 2 years older than me, but then he had that in him. He had that belief. Eventually when he graduated, he started in a software house in Lahore. He worked there for about 10 years, and then the company actually sent him to America because they saw the skills in him. And
so basically we're saying it's really what you bring to the table that determines what you're going to get. It's not. It's I'm gonna. I need to end this because we all need to go. Thank you very much, Imran. Thank you, Kashif. But I need to make a comment based on what Kashif said. He's very right. You have to bring value, and what you get from people is directly proportional to the value you bring to them. There is no free ride. There's no free lunch. There's no one do you any favors. And I'm going to sad example here, but unfortunately there was this gentleman, and I'm showing it on the screen. This was the question, and I was hoping that when we get a chance we will answer that. But then suddenly it went to this, and I was going, that's a good question, I'm going to answer that. And then he went here.
Lack of patience.
And then he suddenly went, and then he suddenly went here. Okay, so now, Mr. Ahmed Jordan, again, fake name, 99% fake account, because I know nobody who puts his own picture and face and name to behave that way. So you have to understand, and Dennis, may I suggest our topic for tomorrow? So you have no rights. Just because you were born does not owes you diddly do. Kashif has made a fantastic point. You will have to bring value for you to get anything.
I know you might not like what I'm going to say, but if you look at Imran Khan, I know you don't like him, or maybe because of the political debate, maybe, or maybe the but then if you look at his cricketing career, he was very popular in Australia and very popular in England. And just because
he looked good, he didn't play worth a penny.
No, how can you say that?
He was always hurt. If you remember, he always had a pulled muscle.
No,
but you guys are not. You're too young to remember that.
No, but you should. That's what I'm going to say. You were the one who was actually witnessing those moments. I think you should not be saying that he had performed and he was the captain. And they drew a series. They drew a test series in West Indies.
So it's done over.
So no, but it was an achievement back then.
For 5 days. For 5 days. For 5 days. Beyond that, nobody gives a damn, man.
No, but it wasn't
I'm just going to
say
that cricket is the area I live in is there's a very large Indian community here in my neighborhood, and so there's actually I watch cricket. Well, I see cricket being played when I go to the park. I don't sit there and watch it, but I also don't sit there and watch American baseball either. So, which is interesting because I have a few baseball players that have been clients of mine, and so it's kind of interesting. Gentlemen, I have to get going for today.
Dennis, quickly, yes. When are you coming to Pakistan?
Hey, in a post-corona world, man. Like when it's safe to travel, and
Inshallah.
Absolutely.
All right, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a good one. Bye.
Take care.